こんにちは。So, Marty, いかがでしょうか? How y'all doing? Thanks for coming. This is my first time here. I'm so stoked, so honored to be here. What a cool idea this is. And just thanks, and let's have a lot of fun, all right?
We're so excited to have you here, Marty. Marty came all the way in from Japan, as many of you know, and Marty has lived in Japan for a long time now. I'm going to ask one question and then turn it over to you guys. Marty, living in Japan, you've had a great career as a television personality too. When you're in Japan, would you say you're more well known as a TV personality or as a guitarist?
It depends. And some people know me from my solo work, some people know me from the bands I was in, some people know me from Japan artists I work with, or a Japan television program, or commercial, or whatever, so you just never know. But I would say it's about half and half.
And when you played with Megadeth recently, you kind of had to explain on a TV show, right? This was my other job. This is, this is also what I'm known for.
Oh, well, I tried to let other people explain that for me.
Yeah, right. All right, well, let's go ahead and open it up. I know everyone has some questions for Marty, so just raise your hand and let's get on it.
Yeah.
But, I'll fill in. If we don't have them, feel free to raise your hands at any time throughout.
I'll be sure to ask as soon as we finish this.
Yeah, of course. All the questions will come to their mind right after. But, I'll ask real quick. We have Zach Wilde and Mike Portnoy came yesterday. Do you have any history with those guys?
Let's see. I remember when Zach first joined Ozzy's band, his guitar tech was my previous guitar tech. So I went to see them play. I didn't see the actual show, but I went backstage and hanged out with Zach. And at that time, I didn't really know who he was. I just knew he was a good guitar player. But he was playing all this country stuff. It wasn't like rock stuff. He was playing this country stuff super, super well. I'm like, oh my God, this dude's playing an Ozzy. So I was very impressed right out of the gate with the guy. And of course, we've done events together. I don't know if we played together or we've been on a lot of the same events, and we're both big Frank Lano fans, so it's super cool.
And you auditioned for Ozzy at one point, didn't you?
Yes, I did, and failed miserably.
What was that story?
I think it was probably because of the way I looked. So I went to, I actually got a call from Sharon Osbourne way back, and I was living in San Francisco, and they said, we'd like to fly you down to audition for Ozzy. And I'm like, oh my God, this is great. I was like practically homeless at the time, living with my then girlfriend, dealing with the rent and all that stuff, as California rock musicians do. I was so happy to get the call, so I learned the music, went down to LA. They flew me down to LA to play with the band, and it was, the guys who were in the band at the time. And I thought I played everything absolutely just fine, and I thought it sounded great. Everybody was friendly enough, but our images were very different. Those guys in the band were like, it was just like a rehearsal, and they were like totally decked out in like 1980s Sunset Strip, skull t-shirts with handcuffs and long necklaces, and they were just like ready to go out on the strip, and I was just like in jeans and a t-shirt, like totally normal. I just thought that it was just a different air. It wasn't like, these three guys are going to get together and gel, even though it sounded fine, I thought. I played everything correctly, but being in a band is so much more than the playing, and actually the playing is kind of down on the list. If you have the same kind of vibe with the people, and you can just kind of smell it, this is the guy I want to hang out with, and it was different on that level, so.
Those guys didn't smell like you wanted to hang out with them.
They didn't. No, they smelled like, LA, and I smelled like San Francisco, which was a different smell. Neither of them smelled very good. But they were cool. Everybody played everything great. It was just like, they were auditioning thousands of guys. And so I didn't get it. The band is just, it's like more the personalities between the people, because there's so many great players who can play every gig, you know what I mean? It's really about who do you want to hang out with, and I would have loved to have got the gig, but they were probably just getting ready to go back out drinking.
Yeah.
And I'm not a very big drinker, so it wouldn't have gelled so well. But at the time, I was like, oh, I played it perfectly. Why didn't they call me back? But I get it. Totally agree.
Right. Well, yeah, we got a question over here.
Hey, Marty, great to meet you.
Likewise.
Along the lines of what you were just talking about with that perspective of the smell or the energy or the aura, how was it with Dave Mustaine in that specific context?
Oh, when I auditioned for Megadeth, it was totally different. It was like suddenly being with a bunch of your friends from high school. You know, nobody had that kind of posing attitude. No, like, you know, well, everybody has tats now, but back then, either the guys had tats or you didn't have tats. And nobody in Megadeth had tats. I didn't have tats. We were just straight into the music. The image was kind of guy next door kind of vibe. And I fit right into that. And then the playing just came naturally. So it was the total opposite of the Ozzy thing. It just felt, oh, these are like my friends from high school kind of thing. Yeah, good question.
Yeah, Scott in the back.
I want to say thanks again for being here, Marty. It's going to be great to jam with you, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
You've done so much diverse stuff in your career, which is really inspiring. And I've heard that you have a new album in the works that is going to be different again and more about feelings and bringing those to life. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you're taking, you know, after you've done all this, where do you go and it's different?
Nice. Thank you for this question. I can promote my new album. Perfect. I planted this guy in. Yeah, no, you know, I've got 15 solo albums now, and each time I try to do something new and something I've never done before, I don't want ever to be heard as one of those guys, his early albums were great, you know what I mean? I used to say that about my favorite guitarists, sadly, and I never wanted that to be said about me, so I'm always challenging myself on new stuff. On this new album that I'm about 70% done with, the closest thing I can relate it to is an album I had called Scenes, which I released quite a while ago. It was very dramatic and orchestral, and there was a lot of like other type of instruments, violins, cellos, and all that type of stuff. So it's more of a dramatic orchestral concept. But everything that I've learned since that Scenes album has just exponentially grown. So it's a much bigger scale. So if you like that Scenes album at all, I think this one will be right up your alley.
Yeah, let's go front here.
Hi.
So considering your work with Jason Becker, being a virtuoso, how is it working with another virtuoso?
Well, I know you mean that in the very nicest of terms, and thank you for that, but I don't like to refer to myself as that type of thing. You either just gel with a person or you don't. At the time that I met Jason, he was, I can't think in English. What's before a flower when it comes out? Blossom? He was like, he had this very, very raw ability. He had the ability to mimic extremely well. Now, a lot of people can mimic people, but he was mimicking guys who were really super advanced and sounding convincing. And a lot of guys, you know, the great technique guys, you know, once you figure out their technique, it's like, I got this guy's number. You get that and you're in there. But my playing is so weird and so unorthodox that really I had never met anybody who could copy me quickly. But here he was, 17 years old, and we're sitting in a room and he's like copying everything that I'm playing it back to me, and sometimes better than the way I played it. So I'm like, wow, this guy, if I ever had a band to play my crazy music with, this would be the guy I want. At that time, he wasn't much of a songwriter, a composer. It was pretty weak, as a matter of fact. So it was kind of risky for me, because he had dexterity, he had super talent, but he wasn't quite musical yet. So I kind of took a risk. And then within a year, he wrote this album, Perpetual Burn, that was just like so out there musically, and he just surpassed me in terms of quick growth. I mean, I'm always growing, but I'm kind of growing slowly. This dude was growing like that. So it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Yeah.
How do you get your curl to look so perfect?
My curl? Over here.
Yeah, I want to know too.
Yours look perfect. Yeah. Yeah, it's just they do. They look perfect. Yours are like more wavy than mine. Mine is kind of like kinky. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, we both know this pain of having, it's natural, right? Yeah, there's nothing to do about it. I tried to straighten it once. It came back in like 3 days. And like any of you can see a lot of Megadeth shirts. Like one of the early tours of Megadeth, I made the dumb idea to get my hair straightened in the middle of a tour. And the straightening went away in about 3 days. So like first, this part got curly really quickly, and this part was still straight. And so pictures from that part of the tour is like half straight and half curly. It was absolutely ridiculous. It's like I had a wig that was halfway on. There's nothing to do about it. You just gotta make sure it doesn't get knotted up.
You had a question? Yes.
Yes. Hey, Marty. How did you develop your picking style?
How did you develop your picking style?
Well, this is a very nice audience, so I don't think I'll tell you the X-rated version of that. I just say that I don't like the sound of muted notes when solos are being played. Like, if you hold it the traditional way, you get that sound. I like that. I want to hear the full tone. So to do that, I keep my hand away from the strings as far as possible, which looks totally stupid and goofy, and I try to crop pictures with my hands out of it whenever possible. But that's the reason.
Yeah.
So how did it come to you first meeting Jason first place?
And so everyone can hear the question, he wants to know how he first met Jason Becker.
I'll try to keep it short. I was, by the way, I have a book coming out next year which will explain that in great, great detail. But the short story is, I'd worked on my whole entire first solo album, and I was just about to record it. The president of the company, Mike Varney, record label, he said, dude, you got to meet this 16-year-old kid. And I'm like, what am I going to meet some 16-year-old brat for? And he says, dude, just meet him. I'm like, well, whatever, because he's running the record company. I don't want to piss him off. As soon as Jason comes over, I fell in love with the guy. That other story applies right here, because that story about him mimicking things. And yeah, the record label forced him on me. And instead of doing my solo album, I created a band. I made the ultimate sacrifice.
We have time for about 2 more questions. Yeah, let's go right here.
Hi, Marty. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, when you were first starting out as a musician and you made that decision to go into become a professional musician, how did you define success? What does success look like to you at that time? Like, was it playing your dream stadium, selling X number of albums, and then how has that definition evolved over time?
Yeah. What was your definition of success, and how has it evolved over time?
That's a great question. I mean, when I was growing up, the only thing I cared about was being on a major label. I did not care about anything else in life. I would have done anything to be on a major label. You know, indies is fine, all the accolades as a musician is fine, all the achievements is fine, but for whatever reason, I was kind of the mindset that nothing matters unless it's on a major label. And so when I finally joined Megadeth, I was so stoked to be on a band that was on a major label. And that was the particular definition of success then. But then, after that, so many things have happened, and I realized that it's not the big success things, it's the things that each project, when you finish any project that you're satisfied with and you sign off on, and you personally think is really cool and you want to put your name on that, that's what I consider success. So had I had that mindset beforehand, sure, there were some things that I was semi-proud of, with some regrets along the way. You know, I wish I had more budget to record this and that. And I was broke all the time. So I was like, you can't feel successful when you're like homeless and sponging off a chick. You know, no matter how well you play or how well you think you play. So once I attained that major label status, then I started to see that, you know, major label doesn't really mean as much as having a project that you finished to completion and it's done and your name's on it and people are receiving that and enjoying that. And that's way more successful, not the same way as today, right now. Last question.
Yeah, in the back here.
How was Wacken this year? Did you find it as fulfilling playing with your solo band as being reunited with Megadeth?
Oh
Main
man,
stage?
Wacken was so insane. If you don't know, I played, was it last month, a month or two ago, in Wacken, Germany. I did a festival where I played with my own band, and I also played with Megadeth. What a trip that was. I mean, my band just tore it completely up. We just killed it. No one there knew what to expect from my band from Japan, and it was absolutely a joyous occasion. People hear a guitar player instrumental, and they think it's just like some dude in the middle wanking off on guitars. And we are absolutely nothing like that. It's just a complete energy machine. And the people just gave us the warmest response. And then, of course, playing with Megadeth, it was a thrill. It was like going back to a hot ex-girlfriend with no repercussions. You know what I mean? If you actually do that in real life, there's all kinds of problems that can happen. But in this situation, it was like a guilt-free, one for free with the old ex-girlfriend, and the ex-girlfriend was still hot. So it was a joy. I loved it.
And that's a great place to end the Q&A. We're going to get you guys dancing.
Yeah.
We're so excited to have you here. So everyone, go back to your rooms unless you're up first. We will come down and get you.
Yeah, we can have Sean McNabb's band. You're up first, and then Bjorn's band. You're on deck, so you guys can get into that room. And what we're going to try to do, everybody, just listen real quick, is to have everybody run through the first chorus of your song in front of Marty. He's going to listen, give you some pointers, give you a little bit of feedback. Then you're going to jam it with him because he wants to critique you guys a little bit, give you some wisdom. So that's the plan.